If you just sprained your ankle and you're looking for answers about what to do next, then you've come to the right place. Hey everyone, this is Dr. Duong, physical therapist and private practice owner of East West Wellness and Rehab. Today we're going to go over the best tips on what to do right after you sprain your ankle so that you can have the best recovery going back to your sports and walking regularly. As a physical therapist, the first thing we want to do is make sure that you did not break a bone. We usually use the Ottawa Ankle and Foot Rules to rule this in or out. And these are the same rules that the doctors use as well. I'll post it here for you and I'll link it down below. You can check it out. If you are at all unsure of whether or not you may have broken a bone or not, then it is better to go ahead and proceed with caution and go schedule an appointment with your doctor or urgent care so that you can get an x-ray for them to confirm. Now, if you're pretty sure it's only an ankle sprain, very minor, then we can go ahead and proceed with my recommendations. First things first, let's talk a little bit about the ankle sprain. Ankle sprains are determined in 3 categories. There's grade 1, 2, and 3. This just determines how mild and how severe the ankle sprain is. If you're in grade 1, then you stretch the ligament out a little bit. You might still be able to walk, it just might be a little tender when you're weight bearing or putting pressure on that foot. But for the most part, you may not get any bruising, you might just get a little bit of swelling. For grade 2, it's more of a moderate sprain with a partial tear of the ligament. You might have some pain with weight bearing and might get some bruising in that area as well. For a grade 3 sprain, it's more severe and you're looking at a complete tear of the ligament. This is where you'll get a lot of swelling, a lot of bruising. It'll feel really unstable anytime you put any weight on that leg. And you're not going to be able to walk regularly for a good bit of time. You might feel like you need an ankle brace or some crutches for that stability. Depending on your rehab and recovery process, for example, if you go to see a physical therapist right away, or if you are able to do these exercises I'm about to share with you, then the ability to bounce back from your injury is a lot quicker. I'll link a website down below that'll talk a little bit more about ankle sprains and recovery and rehab process time, but the best way to get it feeling better is by seeing a professional. Grade 1, it's a little bit easier to get away with not seeing a professional and rehabbing properly, but with grade 2 and grade 3, you just want to make sure that you're rehabbing well so there's no residual symptoms that may creep up later that may cause you to have more ankle sprains or for chronic ankle instability issues later. If you're finding this video to be helpful, then go ahead and click the like and subscribe button down below, and then we're going to go ahead and get right into our recommendations. To be proactive in your healing process after an ankle sprain, these are my best recommendations as a physical therapist. Now, I know you may have heard the term RICE, which stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevation, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit on you. Rest is actually a bit outdated now. A lot of the research is showing that gentle range of movement is actually better for us. We're able to stimulate blood circulation to allow new nutrients to come and heal the area, and it stimulates your lymphatic system to allow it to help push out all of that fluid and all of that swelling that's kind of built up in that foot with the injury and with gravity pushing everything down. However, it is gentle range of motion. So we are not pushing into the pain because that will cause more irritation and cause it to flare up more. But there are movements that we can find that will be pain-free, and those are the ones we want to start with. For example, our ankle moves in 4 different ways. It goes up and down like this, and it goes side to side, almost like a windshield wiper. Because you sprained your ankle, it's most likely in this inversion sprain because these ligaments here aren't as strong as our deltoid ligaments on the inside, which is why we very rarely sprain it this way. We actually want to start with going up and down. That one's going to be more of your pain-free ranges of motion. That will be a little bit more bearable, and that will be able to find more gentle ranges. So we're going to start there. You can try bringing your toes up and then down. Again, pain-free range. So if it's too irritable to go all the way up, go right before you feel the pain and then start bringing it back down. Just like that. go ahead and do 10 reps and then take a little break and then go ahead and do 10 more reps. As you get into more reps, you'll find that you'll be able to increase your range a little bit more because your muscles are loosening up and it's not as tight and not as irritable. If that feels good, then you can go ahead and try the side to side. Like I was saying earlier, it's gonna be a little bit more irritable going side to side, and that's okay. That's to be expected because these are the ligaments that usually provide it the stability for those motions. So again, we're gonna find that pain-free motion. So if you can only go this way and then this way, just a smidge, let's start there. We gotta start somewhere, and being able to keep it moving will help keep that blood flowing, help bring the swelling down. Good. So those are the 4 movements that you can start to monitor as far as a beginner basic stage of adding movement in. Another thing to note is as you are moving your ankle through these pain-free ranges of motions, it is important to remind yourself that movement is safe. We want to make sure that our brain knows that even though, yes, we may have injured our ankle by walking off a curb and stepping wrong or with a sport, then this movement here is very gentle and it's okay. It's not going to hurt the tissues more. It's not going to inflame it more. It's going to actually help bring you blood flow and decrease the inflammation and push out that fluid and help the lymphatic system. So be sure to remind yourself that, because if we are just resting or we think movement is dangerous and it's going to be painful, then we are just causing our brain to be more sensitive to movement, which can cause chronic pain later on or difficulties regaining our prior level of function. So we talked about rest and why that's a bit outdated and why we want to be able to get a little bit more range of motion during this time. Next is ice. Icing is going to be great for also helping to decrease all of that swelling in your ankle. Anytime there's swelling in places there's not supposed to be, then it can cause an increase in pain levels. So icing will help decrease the swelling and decrease the pain. C for compression. Now, compression is really good for helping stimulate that blood flow and stimulate that lymphatic system, like how the gentle range of movement can do. You can use a compression sock, or you can also use an ankle brace, especially if you know you're going to be on your feet a little bit that day, to give you a little bit of extra stability and a little bit of extra squeeze around the ankle for pushing up that fluid. Next is elevate. You want to make sure that when you are elevating, that you are elevating your foot above heart level. This means that you want to be laying down and you want to put some pillows underneath your ankle so that it is going to be coming at an angle and all of that fluid can be pushed down with the help of gravity. While you are laying down, elevating your feet on some pillows, this is also a great time to ice as well. Last, I'm going to add an extra E for you. So we want to make sure that we are getting exercises in right from the get-go. Yes, it might sound counterintuitive that we are going to do exercises for it, but like I said earlier, we don't want it to stiffen up. We don't want it to get super tight, because then all the fluid, all the muscles will tighten, and then we're not getting new nutrients, and all that swelling is going to increase your pain and make it a harder, longer recovery for you. When it comes to the exercises, it's really about knowing what exercises to start with, which is why you're here. The first exercises I wanted you to do were the ones I talked about with a gentle range of motion. After that, you can start with doing circles. So go ahead and show here. You can go clockwise with your ankle and then counterclockwise. And what this does is we're getting more joint mobility. We're getting those muscles that had a little bit of trauma because of the ankle sprain moving and grooving again. If those were pretty easy, you can make your circles a lot bigger for more ranges of motion and for greater mobility in the joint. After the circles going clockwise and counterclockwise, you can do your alphabet. So you can imagine writing the A, the B, the C, and so forth. You can do lowercase, capital letters, it doesn't really matter. Just do them and it will get your ankle really mobile and loose But again, pain-free range. That is going to be the key. Those are the few exercises that are great to start off with. Remember, getting mobility back is going to be essential, and then reminding yourself that movement is safe. Once the range of motion exercises get easier, then you can add a resistance band to help your ankle get stronger. When you are taking a little bit of a break and not really walking as regularly because of the sprain, that causes all of the muscles up the chain to get a little bit weaker. So we want to make sure we're strengthening the ankle so that it can bounce back quicker. You also want to start weight bearing as tolerated. You can do this in standing and start to shift a little bit of weight onto the injured ankle. Now, only do as much as you can because, again, if we push it too much, it's going to cause a lot of inflammation and irritation to that area, and it'll flare it up too much, and we're back to the start again. You can start weight bearing on that foot, and then you can start shifting to your toes, to your heel, to your toes, and then your heel. That will be the easiest motion to start. Afterwards, you can do a little bit of shifting side to side. This will be a little bit harder for you to do because of the ankle sprain, but if it's causing a lot of irritation, don't start it quite yet. Go ahead and check back in a couple days and see how it feels later on once there's less inflammation in the area. As soon as you can start weight bearing more, then I want you to go ahead and try doing some air squats. This will help you get strengthening all the way up the chain and help you get stronger and start using those foot intrinsic muscles again after not being able to weight bear as much earlier in the acute stages. If you're still having difficulty with some ankle symptoms after doing these exercises and it hasn't healed as quickly as you'd want it to, then definitely check us out for either physical therapy, cupping, or dry needling. I'll post a video on cupping therapy here for you to check out, which can be very beneficial for helping with the pain, helping with the range of motion, decreasing swelling, and getting you back up on your feet. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Feel free to comment any questions down below that you may have, and we also have free consultations for anybody who lives in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, so be sure to check out that link down below, and good luck with the exercises. I hope you get back on your feet very soon. Bye!